fra den eneste by, der både er forstad til Viby, Hornstedt og Åbyhøj. Torsdag med Magnus Madsen.
Goddag og hjertelig velkommen til Torsdag med Magnus Madsen. Resten bliver på engelsk i dag. Hello and welcome to Thursdays with Magnus Madsen. Torsdag med Magnus Madsen. This will be in English. This will be another...
Nej, skildpadder.
This will be a very different edition because today we've moved out of our usual studio.
Yeah.
We moved to Escobar in the middle of Aarhus, a bar, and I have to thank Dio and I have to thank Escobar for letting us use this place. Very kind of them. And today we are filming this as well. Yeah. I guess we're gonna throw it on YouTube or something. YouTube? Well, I guess we are. That was a thumbs up from our camera girl. Yeah, iTube, yeah, and RedTube, of course.
And RedTube.
Yeah, X videos, all the great places. And all this commotion is because I have a very special guest today. I have with me a guitar legend. He does not know this, but I've known of him for like 30 years.
Yeah. 3 years, yeah.
3 years, yeah. He's a guitar player from L.A.Guns. He was a founding member of Guns N' Roses. He was in Brides of Destruction with none other than Nicky Six, the guy who I must have mentioned the most on this.
Probably.
And a very...
Well, he has the best hair.
Yeah, he does.
You know, if you're talking about hair metal, it starts and ends.
Still?
No, if we're talking about hair metal, you have to talk about Nicky Six.
Yeah, of course. Well, Tracii Guns, welcome to my humble radio show.
Tusind tak.
You are here because... Yeah, let's not get into that. First of all, you recently had a baby.
I did 1 week ago.
1 week ago. Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you. He's an Aarhus native.
He's an Aarhus native. That is weird. I have to say for me, because this is not LA. But actually, I bought you a little something.
Oh man!
No, it's not for him. It is for him. It's not for you. But you can unwrap it, I guess, because he's
okay. You're Danish.
There will be some years.
You know how I know you're Danish?
Oh.
You didn't put tape on the wrapping paper. That's
an
American thing. I know. You guys don't. You
don't?
See how nice that is?
I just got the girl in the store to do it.
Oh, then you're not really Danish. She is. Yeah, that was one of the first things I noticed when my mother-in-law visits in LA. She brings gifts, and everything. Nothing has tape on it, and you can actually reuse the paper, which is
of course, that's
very efficient.
I guess my grandma used to iron. After Christmas, she used to iron the wrapping paper and use that for gifts all year.
Yeah, why not? It's smart.
That's a weird place to save a buck.
Let's see. Oh, my new son's name is Ole.
Yeah.
Let's see what Ole got.
He's got... Otto er et næsehorn. Otto is a rhinoceros. Yeah. Aww. By Ole Lund Kirkegaard. It's a Danish author born here. Yeah.
Ole.
Well, not that much of a coincidence.
Look, it's me and him. That's me. That's him.
It's a brilliant... I grew up on this myself. It's a brilliant book. It really stimulates fantasy, and you can read as much into it as you would like. But it's funny. The drawings are funny.
What's great about the children's books is as he learns, it's going to help me learn.
Yeah. I think your Danish wife could read it for you.
Well, I can read like 50% now.
Can you?
Like almost everything. Yeah. So. But the best ones are the children's books, because it's obviously a lot more simple, less vocabulary. And one story I was going to tell you before we really get rolling was that when I listen to you guys on the radio in the car, it's a very unique experience, because I hear and I make what you're saying something in my mind, and then I say it to my wife what I think's going on, and she goes, kind of. And then she can give me the whole story. Yeah. So, I mean, that's part of being here is learning the language, which is very difficult.
It is. It is. Very difficult. It is, by most accounts, one of the most difficult languages in the world.
It's a life goal for me. It's not like I don't expect to be speaking fluent Danish in the next couple of years. You know, I expect that, you know, for the next 30 years, I'll never stop learning how to speak your crazy language.
And it's a huge language as well. It's got a lot of words.
And Danes don't even understand a lot.
No. A lot of Danes speak a terrible Danish.
Yeah.
But I'm old. Well, I'd like to, before I get into the whole questionnaire I've written here, I want to tell you just a short story. When I was 13, I didn't grow up here. I grew up in the southern parts of Denmark, out in the sticks.
Yeah.
A small town with 300 people.
Wow.
One TV channel nationally, and fuck all else to do.
You told me about your TV adventures already.
Yeah.
One channel.
Yeah. There was nothing really to do. And in 91, when I was 13, Guns N' Roses broke big.
Yeah.
We'd heard about them before, but with the You Could Be Mine for the Terminator 2 soundtrack, they were everywhere, which was the first single before Use Your Illusions came out. And it was they really broke big, and within a half a year I was totally into that scene. I was smoking, drinking, having my hair on, playing guitar, running around in...
That's Slash's fault. He made you do that, man.
Well, yeah. No, actually, it's another guy's fault. It's actually Izzy's fault. Because I thought Izzy was the coolest guy ever. Yeah,
and he is. He you know, there was Chuck Berry, then Keith Richards, then Izzy. It's simple.
And especially because he... Well, I was actually going into this later on, but especially because he left the band at that time. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, he's cool.
Now we're done with the boring shit. We've done the record. We've been home. Now we're going to tour the world, play stadiums. Yeah, I'm going to Indiana to race cars.
See, he's a lot smarter than I am, right? Like I left before it happened. And he said, and we actually had this conversation. I said, I told him I'm going to New York to play with this woman, Cheryl Rickson, and I'm getting paid. You know, we need another guitarist. You should come with me. And he goes, yeah. You know, that makes sense, but, you know, I got to stick through this for a little while. You know, it's going to be big. And I'm like, yeah, all right. And he was right.
Yeah, he certainly was. But back then, the Danish music press, there was a magazine called Mix.
Yeah.
They didn't go to L.A. to write the articles about it. They just rewrote the ones from Rolling Stones and Kerrang! And shit. And that's why one name, a number of names kept popping up, like was... You know, yours was one of them. Like, was just... And L.A.Guns hadn't never been... I don't know if you hadn't been brought out internationally or...
Yeah, it wasn't until Use Your Illusions. So that was right around...
It was 91.
We didn't get to Europe till 92 or 93.
Because no one knew... I kept reading these, and just to prove it... Rob Gardner and Tracii Guns, these two names, and we all had to act cool.
And Ole Bike.
Yeah, and we'll get back to him. We all had to act cool, of course, in our circle of friends. So we all kind of acted like we knew who you were, but we had no clue. We had no clue, and your name was just popped in there. Like if you say Robert Redford, you wouldn't say from the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Right.
Yeah, of course, Tracii Guns, because in LA that makes sense because you had a name. Yeah, but in Denmark it's really weird. Yeah. And we all had to sort of, we all pretended to, but we all had the secret quest of finding out who these guys were.
That's right, it makes sense.
The next year, in 92, my friend Jesper, his parents had bought a satellite dish so he could watch MTV Europe.
Wow.
And he taped for me every Sunday night. He taped Headbangers Ball,
right.
And he would give me the tape on Monday in school, and he would say, yeah, there was a new video by Metallica, and there was she's done an interview with blah blah blah. And one time he said there was this thing called, I don't know what it was, but it was called Foundations Forum 92, and Tracii Guns was on it, and I went, yeah, sure. Yeah, of course he is. Yeah, I know who that guy is. And I sat at home and watched it. And finally I can find out who this guy is. But something had gone wrong with the subtitling. So everybody was named Tracii Guns.
That's right.
And that was guitar player from Shotgun Messiah was called Tracii Guns. I guess at one point Vanessa Vorvik, the host, was called Tracii Guns. I suppose you were in there as well, but
maybe.
Everybody's just, God damn it, I still don't know who Tracii Guns is. Well, afterwards I bought...
only cool people do. You see, that's the
Oh,
thing.
only cool people.
Yeah, and there's not that many of them. So
no, well, okay,
not that well known.
But yes, after I bought your first 2 albums, actually, when they came out, I still have them. Why didn't I bring them? You should. Well, no, anyways, we'll sort that out.
Well, I live here, so it's not that big. Yeah.
Okay, but back then, the distance from where I grew up to that whole Sunset Strip, because I got really into it.
Yeah.
I got really into Motley Crue, Skid Row, and all those other bands, like Shotgun Messiah, who's actually from Sweden, I think.
Yeah.
And Hanoi Rocks, who's actually from Finland.
Yeah.
And all these great bands.
Well, and it's funny you bring up Hanoi Rocks because, you know, when Izzy lived with me, that's how all this started. You know, he needed a place to stay for a while, so my mom was very cool. And he stayed with me, and he's the one that turned me on to Hanoi Rocks. He's like, hey, you know, there's 3 bands: Japan, Girl, and Hanoi Rocks. And this is before anything. You know, I mean, this is like, I'm like, that's not metal. And he's like, no, but it's really cool. You know, and people always had the thought that like Hanoi Rocks came later, because like their first single, Up Around the Bend or whatever, came out after Guns N' Roses, you know, and stuff like that. But they were way before.
Okay.
You know, they were so ahead of their time, you know, and creating the Sunset Strip scene from Finland.
Yeah, that's the weirdest place to do that from. But back then, the distance from where I grew up to that whole scene, I mean, Jupiter felt closer.
Oh,
you know, it was more
5,500 miles.
Oh, right.
That's how far it is.
Jupiter or
no?
Well,
yeah, maybe. I don't know.
But the likelihood of me getting to Jupiter would be more likely than ever seeing that. And now you're sitting across the table from me.
See, it's not that far.
Yeah, that's weird. So my first actual question is, what are you doing in Denmark? How are you?
Oh, because I read some propaganda online that said that Denmark was the happiest place on earth to live.
Well,
so they're right. I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, I just had a baby here. I married a Danish woman.
Yeah.
You know,
and you live here for part of the year, or?
Yeah, like we're half and half right now.
All right.
You know, just go back and forth, and so far, it's the greatest thing that's ever occurred in my life. Really.
It is.
Oh yeah.
Great.
I met Dennis, didn't I? I mean, you know, what could be greater than that?
Yeah. Oh, of course. For my listeners, I forgot to introduce my usual tech, Dennis Jensen. Can you say hello, Dennis?
Hello.
Yeah, and please shut up. And Dennis, I have to tell you that I forgot to look at the clock. So if you could give me sort of an idea of when I was supposed to play a song.
Yeah, 6 minutes ago.
Well, let's do it now then. What was the first? Oh, this paperwork. What am I doing? Of course, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's because I bought you a gift, and you gave me a gift some years ago. That's my segue. That's really bad. Okay, let's go to a song. Let's take the first song I ever heard by you, and you've played this a billion times. I guess you have to play this every time you play. It's Rip and Tear by L.A.Guns.
Torsdag med Magnus Madsen.
That was L.A.Guns, Rip and Tear. Was that?
It still is.
Yeah, it still is.
Yeah.
Really? How rare? That was you when you were like, how old were you when you wrote this?
That was on our second record, so we recorded it in '89. I was not very 23.
23.
23. Yeah. That's a whole different person ago.
I would expect so. You are not just part of the. You are not just part of the LA scene. You're actually from LA.
Yeah.
And you went to, and I have done a lot of research, and I've now forgotten. You went to Fairfax
High School.
Yeah.
Yes.
And whenever I read about anyone, they went to Fairfax High School.
It's a strange thing because
even Tito and Jermaine Jackson.
So many people went there. But going to the school, you know, you're not thinking like, oh, I'm at a cool school where like cool people, you know, end up from. You know, we were really like the shitty little outcasts. You know what I mean? Like you know, I had zits and you know. Slash had really short curly hair, and you know we wore like shirts like these. You know, it was like, oh yeah, you know, we like Rush and Zeppelin and Aerosmith, but everybody else was as it is today. You know, there was like all the good people doing good things and doing what their parents tell them to do. And so it was boring, just like any other high school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just, for some reason, you know, the generation before us, or 2 generations before us, really was Hollywood high school. You know, you had Love and the Beach Boys come from Hollywood high school, and for some reason, there was a lot of people came out of Fairfax High School.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if it's economically it was a cheaper neighborhood to live in or something like that, but you know, Chili Peppers guys went there too, and you know, the Knack. You know, like a lot of people.
The Knack.
Yeah, the Knack. Yeah, Doug Figer went to Fairfax High.
That's a great riff.
Yes, it is, man. I don't care what anybody says.
No, it is the greatest riff.
Great solo.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So yeah, and you mentioned him. You went to school with Slash.
Oh yeah, we grew up. We met. We were either 10 or 11 because we used to skateboard at Laurel Elementary School.
Okay.
You know, when they were closed, so that's where we met. It was there. Yeah.
Was it? So you're actually one of the few people who's ever called him by his real name.
Oh yeah.
How rare.
And out of respect, I stopped when he stopped. Yes.
Okay. Must be weird having one name.
Well, people are weird. You know, when he did that, all of our friends thought they were cool by not calling him Slash. Like oh yeah.
Yeah, because I've known him for
right, and I would just, why are you doing that? You know, like there's no reason to do that. You're just trying to be. That's a little bully move, you know.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
And I really embraced our hopes and dreams, you know, because we did. You know, we walked to junior high school together every day for 3 years, and we lived it. You know, we loved Elton John's, you know, satin jackets and Joe Perry's bangs, and like we talked about those things. Like that was our life, and that's what we were at 12 years old, walking to junior high school. You know, we were already those guys. You know, cool. and it was, you know, the battle between Jimmy Page and Joe Perry every day. He was a Joe Perry guy, I was a Jimmy Page guy, and you know, all those things. You know, I actually think his dad just used to call him, you know, Slash, like as a joke. It's like, you know, like because his dad is British, and, you know, like little pisser, you know, like you know, taking the piss, you know, kind of a thing. But then he found that Slash Records T-shirt, and it was all over. And that was it.
Of course. But yeah, you went to school with Slash, and you kept in touch, or what?
Well, we were always had the weirdest fucking friendship to start out with, you know, especially when he started playing guitar.
Yeah.
Because before that, he didn't play guitar. I played guitar.
Oh.
And then it became a bit of a competition, you know, after a while.
Yeah.
And so after high school, when we weren't together all the time, you know, he got a job, and he was in Hollywood Rose for a while, and but then we put Guns N' Roses together because Axl was in L.A.Guns after that. And then he really liked Guns N' Roses, you know, and he would actually come to the shows, which normally if I'd play somewhere, he's like, oh, no, I don't care, you know. But he really liked Guns N' Roses, and he actually did our very first logo, even, like, you know, the ones on the first flyers. Yeah, Slash did. He's an amazing artist.
Yeah.
And then when everything started getting big, you know, everywhere, he got a little strange, you know, towards me, like, hey. And then I read his book, you know, and I didn't realize how much he actually liked me when we were younger. He loved me when we were kids, but when I was an adult, he just like ah! You know, I was like, all right, man, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I
mean, I wouldn't want to be in a band called Slash and Roses. You know?
As far as
that would be weird.
Yeah, that would be
so
weird.
I can kind of understand where it comes from.
As far as I remember from his book, he liked you. Yeah, he did like you.
Yeah.
CC DeVille, he didn't really. Well, anyways. and James Hetfield really had a bad one in there. Let's not...
I love Hetfield, man.
Well, that is the funniest story ever.
Yeah, I know.
Let's not... You can read that book.
Yeah, the books are out there.
Yeah, the books are out there. I hope he's doing... Is he doing fine? They just... Hetfield. I mean...
Yeah. I mean...
He just postponed the tour even more yesterday.
But I think, you know... a lot of people don't really understand, you know, how can the Rolling Stones still get up on stage, you know, in their 70s and do that? well, it's different music, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean, we love it, but it's different. But to sing in front Metallica, from being a very young adult to being a middle-aged adult, it's kind of physically it takes a toll.
Yeah.
And the thought of, even in L.A.Guns, I mean, we're fucking heavy now. We have been for a long time. I get fucking tired. It's like fuck, here we go again. When I'm on tour, almost every night I'm like, okay, let's go do this. And it's good for you. It's healthy to do it. But kind of the mid 50-year-old body is just going, maybe you shouldn't have ate all that spaghetti, an hour ago, and stuff like that. But when you're younger, you're just burning, So with him, he's at a point in his life where he doesn't need to do it, and that's what's great about Metallica is they do it because they do it for the fans when they do it.
And it's a popular sport amongst musicians. Mainly, but also, of course, among people in Denmark to have a go at Metallica. But I have to say that every time I go to a show with them, also now, the newer ones, they're great, man.
They're great.
They're a great live band.
They're Metallica.
They're always,
you know what I mean?
They're always great. And it's really, really easy to...
Yeah.
And I have to say this, again, it's really easy to laugh at Lars Ulrich and say that a billion drummers are better. Yeah, but none of them are better at being Lars Ulrich.
That's right.
And he's a very important piece of that band.
And I was born in Ulrich, so it's like I like Lars. And we all have big mouths, all us Ulriches, so it's like, yeah, buddy, give him one.
Well, he does have a big mouth. But yeah, and you mentioned Dennis. Should I play some music? Where?
Yep.
Do you have any idea why did I choose this song? No, all right. This is a Danish song. This was Danish rock and roll in '89. This is they still exist. It's a great song. The Sandmen, House in the Country.
Torsdag med Magnus Madsen.
That was The Sandman, House in the Country from '89. We've got to listen to it.
Yeah, because we didn't just now because we couldn't stop talking.
Nah, no, well, that's.
So I like the acoustic intro.
Yeah, and it has that all the way through.
It reminded me of the Kinks. I love that song. I can't remember right now. I'm old.
Well, that's just how it goes, man. Yeah. You were one of the founding members of Guns. You were in L.A.Guns. You founded L.A.Guns, which is actually quite an older band than Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
And then you stopped L.A.Guns. You
mean you want to know how it happened, like for real?
How did that happen?
Okay. I had L.A.Guns. Izzy had Hollywood Rose. That's when we were living together.
Yeah.
And Axl lived in Indiana. And Izzy was always telling me, "Oh man, you got to meet my friend." I think he was Axl already. Doesn't matter.
Friend Billy.
Yeah, Bill. Mm. And he came out, and I met him. He was staying with actually, Axl was staying with Izzy's girlfriend, and Izzy was staying with me. It was really bizarre. Huh. And I met him, and he was really...
That's a recipe for disaster. Well,
not with those two. Those guys are...
Okay.
They're close. Yeah. And I met Axl, and he was really nice. Like Izzy said, he's really nice, and he can really sing. And I hadn't heard him sing. And I went and saw... They did a Hollywood Rose gig, and I went, and some of my other friends were in that band, too. Went and saw him. And I really liked Axl, but I couldn't really hear him, at that gig. And the next day or whatever at home, I really couldn't hear him. I go, he looked really cool. He goes, I dressed him. Yeah, I go, yeah, of course you did. That was Izzy's thing. He liked to dress people up. But so what had happened was Izzy got asked to play. I think he played guitar in London. Yeah,
he did.
Because Izzy was, I think, mostly a bass player back then. I don't even remember. But so that happened, and then the singer Mike Jagos, that was the L.A.Guns singer, he had gotten fired for some reason, just because he was kind of nuttier than Axl in a lot of ways. And so by that time I was friends with Axl, and Hollywood Rose wasn't doing anything, and I was like, like, hey, you want to sing for L.A.Guns? And he goes, yeah, I got to do something. You know, let's do this. And so he sang for L.A.Guns for almost a year until we had this one gig with London. You know, we were opening for London, and Nader did some weird shit to my guitars before we went on. It was really bizarre. Axl freaked the fuck out on London, and you know, I don't need to go into the story. It's in the book, in somebody's book. So after that gig, Izzy quit London, and he's like, "Fuck that." You know, these are, you know, Axl was his best friend. Yeah. He lived with me, and it was like, I'm done with this. So that same night, our manager got mad at Axl because Axl ripped up a London poster on stage, and but we all lived together, and fired. And so our manager, who's a incomplete quadriplegic, he went in his room when we got home, and me and Axl were out in the living room, and he goes, well, I don't want to stop playing with you, you know, this isn't right, you know, and this is a very level-headed Axl, you know, and he normally is. And I go, yeah, you know, maybe we just start another band or something, and, you know, we could write. And we had just recorded an EP, so we knew how to do things independently. Yeah. You know, we had just learned through this experience that we could book a studio. We knew who pressed records back then. You know, we could do it. And so the initial thought was that we would just write together and record songs together, which was a weird idea back then, because usually guys back then, we were just in a band and you do your band. Yeah. But that was our original 5-minute idea, you know, like, we'll call the label Guns N' Roses. You know, that was the conversation. And then I just, like, after one minute, I go, nah, man, we need to start a band called Guns N' Roses. That's a great band name. And he's like, yeah, Guns N' Roses, you know, Guns N' Roses. And I go, I'll call Izzy, and maybe he'll play guitar in the new band, you know, because it couldn't be an L.A.Guns because L.A.Guns was a 4-piece. But whatever we were doing now, we could be a 5-piece, you know. So I called him at 4 a.m, you know. Yeah, we weren't living together. Me and Izzy weren't living together at this point. And his girlfriend answered, I'm like, hey, Desi, you know, is he still awake? Yeah, why are you calling so late? I got an idea. Okay. Hey, Izzy, you want to be in this new band? New band? What happened to the old band? I go, well, you know, Raz fired Axl, and you know, and you quit London, and you know, all this is happening at the same time. Why don't we just do that? And he's like, okay. That was it. He's like, okay. So that was the beginning of Guns N' Roses, you know. And then Duff, when I don't know how we, you know, at what time we changed the name to Guns N' Roses, but it was really cool because when Duff first came in, he was going by Duff Rose. Huh. That was his name already, and Izzy had known him, and he was, you know, Michael McCain or whatever his name is, but he went by Duff Rose in his band, and so we were like, well, look, it justifies Guns N' Roses. There's 2 roses, and then he immediately changed his name, but that's how Guns N' Roses started. Okay,
I've actually always wondered, because in the liner notes he's always quoted as or mentioned as Duff Rose McKagan, and I thought, if you already have Duff, then why have another? Right. No, I'm not called Duff, but I go by. That's really weird.
Really weird. Yeah. But we all did that, because on the first L.A.Guns EP, the one that Axl originally sang on, and then Mike Jago sang on after when Axl was gone. It says Tracii Guns Ulrich on it. You know, it was transitional period.
Yeah. Well, you live and learn. But Duff, of course, was not the first bass player.
No, he was not.
The first bass player was
Ole Bike.
Yeah, from
Danish.
Denmark. Yeah, and that name back then started popping up as well. Yeah. And for some weird reason, because Danes always do this, nobody got all, oh my God, there's been a Danish guy in this. Nobody did that. And I still wonder why. And I think that Ole Bike's story has never been told, and it's always bugged me a little. Yeah. Because who was Ole Bike?
Okay, so when L.A.Guns first started and we were maturing, you know, because the original guy in L.A.Guns was this guy, Danny Tull, that I grew up with since we were tiny kids, and I taught him how to play bass. But then he got into the Grateful Dead, and I got into Iron Maiden, and you know, we're like, like that. So we had a newspaper called the Recycler, and that's where they got Mick Mars and bands got put together through the Recycler. So Ole, and he said he played with King Diamond or Merciful Fate or something like that. I'm like, I'm going to call this guy. You know what I mean? And he was living with this girl, Saya Hoffman, and I called him, and Saya answered the phone. Hi, I'm like, hi, is Ole there? Who's this? I'm like, oh, my name is Tracii Guns. I'm, calling an ad in the Recycler. Oh, sure. Gets on the phone, and he's Danish.
Yeah.
Hello? I'm like, is this Ole? That's Ole. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm this guy, And he goes, do you like metal? I go, yeah. I play like Randy Rhoads. And he's like, oh, okay. And the girl he was living with, Saya, used to be Randy Rhoads' girlfriend.
Really?
So that's why I just dropped that name. Like I knew that.
Okay.
I play like Randy Rhoads. And he came in, and I loved him. He was an adult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he was like 10 years.
Probably about 10 years, maybe a little less, but he was definitely an adult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was Danish, so he was educated. He was smart. He was patient. He was practical. He was efficient. He could play like nobody else I ever played with.
Yeah.
So he joined L.A.Guns, and we were metal, and that was our thing, and that's what we did. And then when Axl joined, after Mike Jagos left the first time, and Axl came in, all of a sudden we had more of an Izzy influence because Izzy was our best friend, and Axl was just taking cues from Izzy. We should wear chaps, man. Let's get lipstick. All right. I don't care about anything. I'm like, I play guitar, man. If you want to put a circus tent on me, fine. But Ole, he always would ask me, is it necessary? I go, no, but it's fun. We like Motley Crue. He goes, I don't like Motley Crue. I'm like, okay, whatever. But we stuck together, because the music was good, and it was still metal. And the really cool thing about Ole is he understood blues. You know what I mean? Like he was a really blues-based metal player, like I was. So we could write metal, but we could also have blues influence in the metal. And we jammed a lot at rehearsal. We would just play for hours and hours and hours. We lived basically in a rehearsal studio. So by the time everything got crazy and Axl got fired and all this stuff, and we decided we were going to do this new thing, Guns N' Roses, I just told him, I said, look, I don't know what we're going to do with L.A.Guns, but this is what Axl and I want to do. And he, okay, like fine. He didn't really care. But then when we got Izzy in the band, Izzy come on with pearls on and things like that. He's like, Tracii, I have to be on the same side of the stage with this guy. It's like, I have a vest and, I'm metal, and Izzy's not metal. And I was like, no, he's not, but it's a good band, He goes, yes, it's a good band, but, I'm not going to wear makeup, blah, blah. I'm like, don't wear makeup. And then he just kind of is like, I'm done, and he was having some adult issues that even Axl and Izzy, who are a little bit older than me, they couldn't relate to depression or whatever it was, and he wouldn't talk to us about those kinds of things, because he had his friend Paul Knudsen from here, who's his best friend, that was out there at the time for a little while, and it was really a good support for Ole whenever he was going through, and he ended up doing drugs. He ended up doing something else, and when that happened, he just cut off completely from us as a friend. He just started hanging out with older guys that were not healthy guys. And Ole was so nice that a lot of these Hollywood losers is really what they were, would just take advantage of. He had a car, you know what I mean? He was responsible, and he wanted, but his most important thing is he wanted to play awesome metal.
Yeah.
And so it just didn't happen, and the next thing I had heard is that he tried to commit suicide in L.A., by, doing this. And that was like after both bands started getting known and popular. And then when everything went, then we all know what happened, but it just didn't have to happen that way, And then the saddest part is, like you said, nobody tells his story, And
nobody does.
There was an article here a few years ago, came out that was pretty accurate.
Yeah.
But
I read somewhere at one point 5 years ago that some guys was working on a book on it, but they couldn't really get anywhere because the guys you have to ask, you don't just call Axl Rose, and it's really.
But even if they they got a hold of anybody, where was he from?
Ribe, I think, or SBR.
SBR. Yeah. He was from SBR. The fishermen in that town at that time, they didn't like him. So.
They don't like anyone.
Yeah. So like he didn't have a lot of friends. He had Paul Knudsen, that was his buddy, and I think he has a brother, but he just stays out of the way. And I think his parents are dead.
Yeah.
So it's like. And that's why I named my son Ola. It's after Ola Bike.
Yeah, I thought so.
So and also after Siri's uncle, Ola Luke, who he was in a band here called Pocket Life, and he passed away 13 years ago. And so, those are the two really special people named Ola.
Great, man.
Yeah,
that's beautiful. So that was Ola. That was Ola. I've always wanted to hear from someone who he was and how
he was. A great guy, a great musician.
Do you think that he sort of distanced himself from you? You can't tell, but just to sort of trying to get you, not letting you into the whole drug scene or the very adults.
I'm sure of it because he knew that I didn't understand it and was scared of it. He knew that because a lot of our friends did weird shit and I didn't even know, and Oli would drink and he goes, it's okay to drink, and that was it. So when that happened, he was like a big brother for sure to me. Yeah, he was awesome. I really miss him.
Yeah. I can tell. Yeah, sadly. Well, and Dennis, where are we? We have to. Yeah, but can we skip that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we are actually running behind, right?
Yep.
Yeah. How much time do we have left? This is great radio.
Yeah, it's good.
13 minutes.
What?
13 minutes.
13. Oh, fuck the next song.
Oh, for part one, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there is a part two.
Yeah.
Where. Showering,
Turkish bath.
While you were in, well, that's actually a song I want to ask you about because I know that while you were in Guns N' Roses, you played Anything Goes.
Yeah.
And you played I Think About You.
Think About You, Don't Cry. A lot of the songs.
I Think About You is actually one of my favorite songs.
Such a good song.
It's such a good song, especially the acoustic guitar in the choruses.
Yeah.
It's really, really great. Is that song, because I've written it somewhere, is that actually not about a girl, but actually about drugs, and written by Izzy?
It's written by Izzy, but it's probably not about drugs, because Izzy's drug use was very clinical. He was going out with this girl, Valerie Van Halen, who was married to Alex Van Halen.
Oh.
But they were apart. And she was using heroin. And my mom found all these library books at the house from Izzy on heroin. So he was researching it.
Okay.
Like he was really, because, he loved Andy McCoy, he loved Keith Richards. And so to him it was glamorous somehow, in some way. So and Think About You could have been about heroin, because it was written right in the time where he might have started trying it, and I think more than using it, I know his girlfriend Desi was selling it, so I mean it's possible, but I mean that's a great thing about a love song, it's open to anybody's interpretation, but coming from Izzy, if you want to like attach it to drugs, he did heroin, he tried heroin, and And it could be, but he was also a really romantic guy, and he really loved women, like not in a macho way. He wanted to, I'm the same way, marry a woman, meet a woman and marry her, not just.
No.
Yeah, he wasn't
going
like
through.
That.
Yeah, great. And he was. Enough about that. You left Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Can I ask why?
Yeah, it's simple. I mean,
It just wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah, talk about drug. It did become not fun. And I think I was 19 when I left, so I was really young, And the other guys like Izzy and Axl, they were probably 22 or 23, and there's a difference.
There's a difference.
There's a difference at that age.
Yeah.
And I remember, so this girl Michelle Young, who Axl was hanging out with, was actually somebody that Slash and I went to junior high school with and high school with. Her dad was a pharmacist. He made ecstasy before it was illegal, and Axl was hanging out with Michelle for a week before these last 2 shows I did. We didn't hear from him, nothing. But he had called the head of this one show before we went to soundcheck and said, make sure Michelle Young is on the guest list. And we were like, oh yeah, of course, no problem. She was a friend of ours anyways, she would have been. So he came to soundcheck unexpectedly, out of his mind already. We're like, wow, who's this guy? I'd never seen him like this before. And he started going on about Michelle Young. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. The show was at 10 at night.
Yeah.
Where's the guest list? Well, we haven't written the guest list, but I told you to put Michelle Young on the. Yeah, well, we will when we do the guest list. So this day was hell, and it was one of the most packed shows we had done. So 7 at night, and Izzy and I are just kind of milling around, trying to stay away from whatever mood Axl was in, and that place got jam packed. It was in this weird city called Glendora, at like an old wood lodge, and it was like just people just kept coming and coming and coming. And I remember saying to Izzy, I go, man, I wish I was in the mood, know. And he goes, yeah, because you got to understand people sometimes. And I'm like, all right, but I'm not in a good mood, And so that night, and Axl had kind of been doing this thing at the shows before that where, yeah, we were a popular band, but we still only got 45 minutes to play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you guys are selling out, but, there's other bands on the bill, and, we got to close the doors at a certain time. And we had a 12-song set, and Axl started talking to the audience. Like, wow. Like, hey, man, And Izzy would look at me like, I'd be like, what do we do? So by this show, he was in that mood, and he went on stage, and he started talking about this person and that person and this and that and the other. I mean, I'm sure we got through 5 or 6 songs, but it was really weird, and the band was disconnected from him, and it didn't feel like a band that night. It was like, and we had a show the next night, and I was really like, what's gonna happen, So Axl felt really good after that show. We all went backstage, and he got whatever was inside.
Yeah,
he had verbalized and got out to the crowd, and I was hanging with Duff after the show, backstage, and Izzy and Rob and Axl, they were in a good mood. They were in another corner, like, yeah, blah 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 blah. And I just looked at Axl like, what's with this guy? He was in the worst mood, now he's in the best mood, So next night, we're all sitting backstage. Time's going by. We're supposed to be on stage. No Axl. And we were all in a good mood. And Duff was like, we just got to wait. He'll be here. He'll be here. And I'm getting, my 19-year-old self, like, fuck this, I want to play the guitar, blah, blah, blah. And it was packed, too. This place is the Waters Club. And he shows up and, really flamboyantly, I was like, again, who's this guy? Like what is going on here? So it was another weird gig. It was just really weird where, Izzy always kept to himself anyways. He never interacted with Axl. He always interacted with me. Like, we would come together and play guitar together. Yeah. And he was just there, so he didn't care. Duff didn't care. Rob Gardner never cared about anything. And so it's just like me. It's like me and this guy. We're the front men.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I can't get next to that guy right now. That was a conscious thought in my brain while I'm playing. Like, I don't want to stand next to this guy right now. Because everything he was saying at the time to me was just so stupid and out of place. Like, why the fuck would you tell all these people about somebody you met at a liquor store that, you know, you thought stole your $5 bill, you know, for 10 minutes, like, you know. So being 19, you know, I was just like, I had to make a decision, you know, like, do I want to have fun and be in a rock and roll band, or do I want to second guess what I'm doing constantly? Like, and the sad thing is I was right. And because I was right, I also lost a lot of money. You know what I mean? So it's like, it did continue on that way, you know, where Axl got in this mood and this, which was also the thing that sold Axl. You know, people really gravitated toward his mood, his lifestyle, and he's a fucking amazing singer.
He is.
You know, which I knew from day one. But I probably would have killed myself to, you know, travel, you know, the first, you know, the Appetite for Destruction tour. Man, it just went on and on and on. I mean, me being completely straight-laced little kid that, you know, drank a beer once a year, you know? Yeah. It's like, you know, I suffer from my own depression, you know what I mean? To be around somebody like that, you know, and then those guys got depressed and started doing drugs and stuff like that. I couldn't have survived, you know? And, but in the end, everybody did well. Yeah. You know what I mean? So...
Well, yeah, except for maybe...
Ola.
Well, yeah, Axl. He doesn't seem that well.
Well, at least now, you know, he's been diagnosed with whatever he's been diagnosed with. He takes medication. He's in a good mood. He's even. He goes on stage on time.
I've seen him a few times during the last couple of years, and especially that weird show with AC/DC.
Yeah.
And I
only saw video. I thought it was really good.
He saved the show. He was funny, and he was telling the funniest small stories in between. Yeah. It's obviously that he had a boss that he respects a lot. Yeah. Looking over his shoulder, saying, "Oh no, you quit, and now we play rock and roll." Yeah. And that was really, really great.
It's amazing how much power Angus has as a person.
It is really amazing. Well, that actually concludes our first hour of this, because Dennis has discreetly started our outro music. But I want to thank you again for being a guest. We'll continue in a few seconds. Minutes. Let's say minutes. I want to thank Dio again and Escobar Aarhus for having us here. I guess Ida will make some sort of subtitling for all the tech.
Everybody's name is Tracii Guns.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. And then if you're sitting out there and at your work and you just want to go home. Damn, I missed it, Dennis. Well, if you want to go home, do like Farlige Typer in Modlys siger and go home. That was really weird. Here's the song.
Hi.
Cheers.
Yeah, man.
As long as I can.
På hvad han mund flygter fra. Han bliver ikke yngre, det siger sig selv. Han slår selv tiden ihjel.